Thank you for making Locked On Yankees your first listen every day. We're free and available on all platforms. Today's show, we're talking about the new promotional calendar for the Yankees, which has a lot of cool stuff on it. We'll go through everything. We're going to talk about how funny Joey Gallo is, which is a pleasant surprise, and we're going to celebrate Andrew Miller's retirement by talking about one of his best performances as a Yankee. All next on Locked On Yankees.
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Greetings, Yankee fans. Welcome to Locked On Yankees. It's Friday, March 25th. I'm your host, Stacey, and I'm joined by my co-host, Abbey. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at Locked On Yankees, all one word. You can listen to us on every podcasting platform available, including Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, and Stitcher. You can watch and subscribe to us on YouTube. We're getting closer to 1K, and when we get there, we're doing a giveaway. And when you get into your car, you can tell your smart device to play podcast Locked On Yankees. Abbey, how's your Friday going?
You know, I've slowing down this week after the last 2 weeks, which were just incredibly slammed. I'm doing laundry today.
Nice. I need to do some, actually. Yeah.
I edited a few stories today. I mean, today's been like the first easy day that I've had since I was on vacation. Like, man, did I pay for that vacation when I came back.
Oh, yeah. And you always do, no matter what job you're in. Oh, awful. You know.
I am so tired.
Yeah.
My friend was supposed to have a birthday party, like a whole birthday weekend planned. And then she messaged us this morning and said that she canceled the dinner tonight and we're just doing a party tomorrow. And I was like, oh, thank God. I can like do my laundry and I can, watch St. Peter's.
Yeah.
And I don't have like this pressure to be at dinner and like stay awake around my friends right now because
I love when that happens. That's the best. When you have plans, you kind of want to go to support your friends, but you're kind of feeling like, yeah. And then they're like, oh, we're doing this instead, or maybe we'll delay it till the next day. And you're like, oh, thank goodness. I know everyone listening and watching can relate to that because it does happen every once in a while because it's just, yeah, you get tired and you don't want to. After
the trade deadline feels like a race to the finish with both sports, really. I mean, I think it's a little bit different in baseball because there's like, I think there's more transactions in baseball that come out like a week ahead.
Yes.
And this was a weird trade deadline with the NHL and I had to go down to Philadelphia. And it just was like, it really just felt like a race to the finish. And I have not recovered from that race. And I was talking to some other reporters this week and everybody I talked to was like, man, did last week just like take it out of you? And there wasn't even that many like huge trades made. It just, I don't know. Maybe it's because it's such a weird year, but like, maybe it's because we were all just doing so much content about like, what if these guys get traded and when they get traded, here's what's going to happen. I don't know. And just trying to like actually report sometimes, like, I don't know. I'm just tired.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that my plans got canceled tonight.
Now, speaking of reporting, before we get into the promotional stuff, did you see the brouhaha between Lindsay Adler and Keith Olbermann on Twitter today?
Briefly. I don't know that I know the background of it.
Yeah.
But Keith Olbermann has not been reporting consistently for a really long time. And Lindsay is a very reputable reporter. I don't really know what the issue that he has. I mean, the stats that she was using is like pretty much the standard. Mm-hmm. So I don't know why is he complaining?
Yeah, I don't know. Because I didn't know what was happening. I saw other people responding to Lindsay. And then I saw people saying disparaging things about Keith Olbermann with no context. And I thought, is there a correlation between these two? So then I checked and saw, and she's sticking up for herself, which I love. I mean, you always love to see that.
Which is not always easy to do, honestly.
No.
I've been in that position where like people are ripping something that I wrote and I have reporters in my corner, but it's hard to, I just sort of like, I'll stay silent because I just can't always like I can't take all the social media hate sometimes. Like I have to just like turn my notifications off or something. But like for I mean, Lindsay's a good friend of mine, and I just have like the utmost respect for her and the work that she does.
Oh yeah.
She loves baseball, and she really likes to like focus on some of these like nitty-gritty angles that I would not even think, and she sort of like becomes an expert on these like small minute parts of the game and is able to talk about how they impact like bigger parts of the game in like sort of an authoritative way. And she does like these really great in-depth interviews with people in the industry. I mean, I love Lindsay, but and I've never met Keith Olbermann. I haven't really heard anything bad about him from some of my friends in the industry who have worked with him. But like, if you're gonna pick a fight with a reporter, like maybe not somebody who also has like who just has such a great, maybe like do your research on her reputation, ask around about her. And also like Lindsay has like a huge reply guy army.
She really does. Yeah.
She has built such a following for herself being snarky and funny on Twitter. Like I'm snarky, but people hate me when I do that on Twitter. I don't know why. I'm not as funny as Lindsay, I guess. But maybe like don't pick a fight with somebody who has like this giant reply guy army behind her.
Yeah. Yeah, it was interesting that it was silly. If you're not on Twitter, it's kind of hard to explain, but yeah, don't be. Yeah. Our advice: don't ever start. Okay,
no, because save yourself.
Yeah, because I've been on Twitter 13 years. It'll be 14 years in November, and I still to this day don't remember why I even joined it, how I heard about it. No idea. Don't remember. I just suddenly decided to join Twitter. Had no idea what I was doing. I used to tweet like I was doing Facebook statuses, like is going to work, is doing this.
Man, millennials were just absolutely unhinged on Facebook. And I don't know, maybe if Gen Z was too, but like we sure were. Like I deleted Facebook a while back. And the only thing I really miss about it is Marketplace because you can buy. I need a new AC. I should jump back on just for Marketplace, But I remember like when I was such a holdout on Twitter. I refused to do it because I was sort of the generation where they told you like social media can't help you getting a job. Social media is only going to hurt you.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand like posting, photos of my friends and I like drunk in Vegas probably when I was 23 years old and looking for jobs. Like that's probably not going to get me a job. But at the same time, like Gen Z now, like their entire lives are online.
They're a little
lives are online.
Yeah, they're a little too online. There's some things that Gen Z shares on TikTok that you should not be sharing with anyone, even your friends, and they're sharing them to like millions of people.
But it's actually like it helps them. They're like more vulnerable. They get jobs in like creative professions.
Yeah.
Like I still cannot get it out of my head that like everything I put on social media might have like repercussion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Speaking of social media,
like screw it, we are living our lives out loud. We are living our lives online.
Oh yeah.
And if only they could see the things that we posted 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I jokingly posted on Throwback Thursday yesterday on Instagram a picture of myself graduating college, and my caption was, "This is the face of a person who got away with a lot of stuff in college that wasn't documented on social media. Hooray for the 90s." Because no one needed to see what I did in college. I was talking about that with my mother and, certain things. Although, I have to say, if social media existed in the 90s, people would hate Yankee fans so much more. Because of everything that happened with the Yankees in the 90s.
True, yeah.
Yeah, it would have been bad.
I remember my journalism teacher, one of my journalism teachers, talking to us about utilizing Twitter. And at the time, I was the sports editor of the paper at Long Beach State. And we had somebody, like, I remember even like we had like our online editor was in charge of putting things on Twitter. And he barely did it. And we didn't even have like a page set up for like Facebook. And I would go to baseball games and I would just sort of like blissfully keep my little scorecard and watch the game without bothering to like look at anything online. I mean, other than like maybe Game Tracker to make sure that my scorekeeping was correct.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I enjoyed baseball a lot more. And sometimes Twitter is really fun. The one incident that really comes to mind is like the banana boat and DeAndre Jordan banana boat gate back in 2015, or emoji gate. That's what it was in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
That was like sort of a fun night on Twitter. And occasionally there are like really fun nights when everybody's sort of in on the joke. You know, the 30 to 50 feral hogs guy, that was an especially fun day on Twitter. But like sometimes when I'm at games, I know that I'm supposed to be, especially when I was a beat writer, I felt this like responsibility to be not tweeting play-by-play necessarily, but like, I don't know, like maybe like noticing other things and outside of just, balls and strikes that, and tweeting that to the masses. And like, I think I was working too hard to find things that maybe like weren't there. So now as a national writer, I don't tweet at games all that much unless something crazy kind of happens. And it's been nice to just like go to games, look for storylines, and, sort of same thing as when I was in college, like blissfully keep my little scorecard and not pay a ton of attention to Twitter.
Yeah. I had a segue and then I lost it.
They're hard. They're hard.
They are
Segues
hard.
are hard.
Yeah. And I'm always praised for my segues, and it just went poof, like out the window. It's gone out the window, and I just almost knocked my lamp over. It's time to talk about Built Bar Puffs. It's that time of the show. I told you guys, not yesterday, the day before, that, if you buy from Built Bar and you're signed up for their emails, they let you know about special flavors. And they came out with a brownie batter puff, which sounds amazing because puffs are the first protein-infused marshmallow. They're fluffy, marshmallowy. They're not just a protein bar, and they're covered in 100% real chocolate. And they have churro, which is cinnamony and awesome. They have coconut marshmallow, also really good. Banana cream pie. They're going to be your new favorite. All Built Bars are covered in 100% chocolate, and they're low calorie, high protein. So replace your candy bars with Built Bar. Flavors. I talk about let's try that again. I talk about mint brownie all the time because it's really, really good, but I know that some people don't like that combo. They have coconut, they have coconut almond, they have double chocolate, raspberry. And if Built Bar thinks a flavor could be good, they'll make it, and they'll make it as good for you as possible. And they're all about the taste. They make it taste delicious first. They figure out how to make it healthy, and they'll put it out for you. So go to Built.com, use our promo code LOCKED15, and you'll get 15% off your order. Again, brownie batter puff. It sounds amazing. Go try it. Use our promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com. Thanks for making Locked On Yankees your first listen every day. We're free and available on all platforms, and you should listen to Locked On MLB Prospects when you're done with our show. Host Lindsey Crosby, who got a free promo on Wednesday when I had his name up the whole time, is a prospect encyclopedia, and he's going deep on the MLB stars of tomorrow, including some names we may see in the future on the field at Yankee Stadium. That's easier said than done. It's free and available wherever you get podcasts. So let's talk about this promotion schedule that just came out because Old Timers Day is back.
The Suzyn, Waldman, John Sterling talking bobblehead is incredible.
It's going to be amazing.
It's incredible. I mean, like, I know people love Star Wars Night and they go crazy over like, the Yoda bobbleheads, but the Suzyn, Waldman, John Sterling one is so good. I hope that I don't know what it says, but I hope that it says, that's baseball, Suzyn.
Yeah. Look, it's amazing. It's so good. I have to have someone get that for me if I can't go to the game because it's incredible.
It's one of the better promotions that I've seen in quite a long time, not just from the Yankees, but from like a lot of teams. And I'm in the field a lot, so I see other teams' promotions that they do too. And like, the Devils had a really good one a few years ago when they did a David Putty bobblehead.
Oh, that's funny. Okay. That's a good one.
8-ball. But this is a really good one. And they're so iconic. And Suzyn's so nice, and she's such a trailblazer, and she's
And they
so
have her
smart.
in
I
her
think
4th of
Suzyn
July vest, the sequin.
her 4th of July vest. She wears it every year.
Mm-hmm.
She knows more about baseball than I'll ever be able to forget.
Right. She really is. It's amazing.
And she's so respected, and the way that she communicates with players and coaches, she's able to sort of I don't know, she's got a calming presence.
It's true.
She's got a calming presence. And when you see her walk up to guys on the field, I mean, there are some broadcasters with some teams who they don't really show up. They don't really ask a lot of questions. They just sort of coast based on the fact that, they do have a lot of knowledge of the game and history of the team and the marketplace. Suzyn shows up every day wanting to bring fans take fans inside the Yankees clubhouse. She takes pride in that, and how she goes about doing her job is so respected. Young reporters just have to watch how Suzyn works, and they'll learn so much.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine New York baseball without Suzyn.
Either one of them. Yeah. It's going to be, I mean, it's inevitable because, John Sterling's going to be 84.
People retired, Vin Scully retired, and that was the end of a long era. My grandmother listened to Vin Scully, but it's weird because then, how do you find another broadcaster? The Dodgers went in the complete opposite direction. They decided to go with a completely new voice.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one approach to take. Sometimes people want to hand it off to somebody who has games in the organization and who's a familiar face to provide some continuity. There's really when it comes to filling broadcast roles, it's a really difficult job to find talent. You've got to be able to make sure that they work well with, with the TV talent, the producers, and the sideline talent. And it's a really, really difficult thing to step into shoes like that. But, that's a problem for a few years down the line.
Mm-hmm. So they have Elston Howard Bobblehead Day on April 14th. That's pretty cool. They have a Scooby-Doo Bobblehead Day on April 20. Is that 6 or 4? 4. Okay. The writing is too small for my old eyes. Okay. Star Wars night is not May the 4th because I believe they're on the road then. So Friday, May 6th. And it's a Yoda bobblehead. So that'll be fun. And then also that same weekend on Sunday, May 8th, Yankees Purse Day. Is that Mother's Day? Or is that the week before Mother's Day? Because purses would make sense.
Mother's Day.
Yeah, that makes sense for, right? Because it's the second Sunday in May, and if the first is, okay, that makes sense. Andy Pettitte bobblehead night on May 20th. I might have to go to that. My mom's favorite player was Andy Pettitte. We went to his ceremony day a few years ago, and she was in her glory. She loved him. Aaron Judge bobblehead day in June. Old Timers Day, like I said in the opening, I'm so excited about Old Timers Day being back. I had a 22-year streak snapped because of COVID. So now I get to go again, and that is July 30th. Yay. And, when I first started going to Old Timers Day in the 90s, players from the 40s were still showing up, and now there's none left.
And now it's players from the Dynasty days are the
And even later, Nick Swisher is at Old Timers Day, and Jason Giambi. It's oh God, I feel so old. That's so bad. But there are a lot of promotional days. It's fun. I have tons of stuff. We used to go to Bat Day when I was a kid, and we one year, 85, I think it was 1985. We ran into two families from our town sitting in the same section of Yankee Stadium as us for Bat Day, which was really oh, you're here too? Okay, great. But let's switch to, we have to talk about Joey Gallo. We have to talk about this. Can't show the video.
First of all, which bobblehead are you most looking forward to? Which promotion day are you most looking forward to this year?
Well, I'm most looking forward to Old Timers Day, just because I want to get that streak going again. But the John and Suzyn bobblehead day, I think. Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah, I think that was a good idea from the Yankees, especially having them sitting in the booth, and especially Suzyn with her 4th of July Vest. I love that vest. Only Suzyn could wear that vest. That
They
no one
also
else
have,
could do
I
that.
think, Aaron Judge and Garrett Cole bobbleheads too this year. I
Yes,
saw.
Garrett Cole is toward the end of the season. Aaron Judge is in June. So the Yankees, the Yankees social media, and they have been doing videos on Instagram and TikTok and all over the place. But they released a video last night that I laughed so hard because they mic'd up Joey Gallo. And we can't show it because we don't want to get in trouble with YouTube or the Yankees or Major League Baseball. But he wanted to try and pretend that he wasn't mic'd up and not have anyone know, especially Aaron Judge for some reason. Maybe he wanted to catch him saying something. Joey Gallo's really funny. You have to watch the video. If you're not on Twitter, it's on Instagram. If you're not on Instagram, I don't know what the hell to tell you. Because I looked for it on YouTube and I couldn't find it, but maybe they put it up. So it's just him mic'd up, his teammates wondering why he's talking to himself. He's making people think that Aaron Judge is mic'd up. Like, he's joking around. He's like, I think Judgy's mic'd up. And Aaron Hicks is like, oh no. Like, Aaron Hicks was like afraid that he was going to say something bad. Joey Gallo was joking about the fact that Giancarlo Stanton doesn't speak. He really doesn't.
I wish Big G would talk. This would be a great time for a conversation. I think my favorite line from all those videos, though, was when Joey Gallo said, "I'm a really great liar." That's probably not a good thing.
Yeah. Or when I don't know who he was walking with. I couldn't tell who it was, but someone was picking up balls from the infield and he walks over to him and he's like, give me one. Make it look like I just did something.
Yeah.
That was so great. Like I said a few days ago, he's going to be my new favorite Yankee, and we're going to have like a segment of a segment with Joey Gallo in it. We'll come up with a clever name, and as I said,
you're a Gallo groupie.
Yeah. Ooh. If you have a name for us, put it in the YouTube
me,
comments.
I'm a reporter. I can't do that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know.
We have a name for Stacey and her Gallo, fan friends.
Yeah. But if you can come up with a funny name, a punny name, that would be great. Because I think it would be fun to do that because he is a really cool dude. And I have a feeling that this season will be better for him. I'm hoping that it is.
He was a little overwhelmed coming over from Texas.
Sure.
There was a lot. He was really excited, but I think he felt, as we talked about in the last episode, the weight of the pinstripes. And he eventually got it going, but his defense was really helpful for the Yankees.
Yeah.
Especially in the last couple games, that last series when they were like struggling to clinch, his defense was really important. And he can play all three outfield positions. He's got a really good arm. He's got an accurate arm, and he should be able, theoretically, to get some balls out on that short porch.
Yeah.
I think now that he knows, he's got an idea of what it's like to play in that atmosphere and in that city. I think he'll be fine. But man, when he came in, he was really gripping the stick pretty hard. He was in the cages, or not the cages. He was taking BP one day and he just kept talking to himself. Like, I don't know what he was saying to himself, but I don't know whether it was like encouragement or whether he was like frustrated. He was like, I noticed one day early on, I think it was like maybe his second or third game at Yankee Stadium. He was taking BP, just talking and talking and talking to himself. You could tell he really wanted to contribute and be helpful. He knew that he was acquired for a certain reason, and it was wearing on him that he hadn't been able to produce in his early games. But maybe the self-talk helps. I don't know. My self-talk is usually not very nice to myself.
I know, me either. I don't have good self-talk. Now, we were talking about pressure. The NCAA tournament, St. Peter's. I feel like they might not have pressure because no one expected them to get to this point. And I feel like the team I don't know who they're playing against in the Sweet 16. But whoever they're playing against in the Sweet 16 is going to feel pressure because this number 15 seed is like, here we are. We might beat you. So anyway, it's that time of year again. And from all the latest odds, contests, and player props, betonline.net is the number one source for all your sports betting needs and info. BetOnline remains the best spot for all your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. And it's not just basketball, and it's not just college basketball. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sports wagering information needs, including live betting and your favorite Vegas casino games. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action. BetOnline, where the game starts.
They're playing Purdue tonight.
Right, Purdue. It went out of my head. I knew it was a Midwestern-ish team. Okay.
And so we also have Kansas playing tonight against Providence. Rock Chalk Jayhawk, my former employer. Rock Chalk Jayhawk.
So Andrew Miller announced that he was retiring. And we have to talk about this game because anytime I think of Andrew Miller as a Yankee, this is the game that pops up on my head. It was nearly 7 years ago, which is crazy. It's kind of hard to think about the fact that 2015 was 7 years ago. How can that be? That's so long ago. It was, heading down toward the, not the end of the season because it was August 14th, but if you recall correctly, people watching and listening, the Yankees and the Blue Jays were kind of neck and neck there in the AL East in 2015. And it was a big series at Rogers Center. It was the Friday game. And the Yankees found themselves down 3-1 against David Price heading into the 8th inning. And Toronto takes David Price out. Carlos Beltran comes in, pinch hits a 3-run home run to put the Yankees up 4-3. And I remember them showing David Price's face, and he was just like, again? These guys are doing this to me again? Like, how is this possible? So the 9th inning comes, and Andrew Miller is in to seal the deal, or so they say. This at bat, people still talk about it 7 years later, because it was absolutely insane. It was a 12-pitch at bat for the last out of the game against Troy Tulowitzki, and Andrew Miller was throwing that slider like it was just, I think the last 7 pitches were the same exact pitch, and Tulowitzki kept fouling it off. And it felt like an October game in mid-August. It was fantastic because the Yankees won. But it was also, it felt like it took about 5 years off your life if you were watching it because of how intense it was. And it wasn't even just that, Troy Tulowitzki, it was the last out. But there were 2 guys on base. So the Blue Jays had a chance to, get a single and win the game. And it didn't happen. And it was really funny because I remember the last pitch was the same exact slider. Every pitch, those last few pitches. And I thought that Tulowitzki fouled it off again. And then I realized he didn't when Andrew Miller clapped his gloves together. But Yankee fans like to think of that moment, and then they also like to think of the moment that happened when he wasn't a Yankee, when Greg Bird hit the home run off him in Yankee Stadium during the division series in 2017. The only run that they scored that night, by the way. That was a very intense playoff game, especially after what happened in Game 2 in Cleveland when the Yankees... Oh, Joe Girardi. Oh, my God. That was bad.
But, Andrew Miller's Yankees career might have been kind of brief, but it was very influential. Mm-hmm. The contract that he signed was sort of, it paved the way for other long relievers to sign big deals like that. And not just sign big deals like that, but be valued in the same way that he was. So what he did to sort of change the configuration of the bullpen, you used to have your 7th inning guy, you had a couple situational left-handers, maybe you might have had one sort of like stretch guy that could be like your number 4 starter and throw a few innings. And then you had your setup guy and you had your closer. And the closer was the most valuable guy in the bullpen. What Miller did was he was a long guy, and he was sort of the stopper before the stopper.
Right.
No longer was it about just like getting a hold in the 8th inning. He would throw 3 innings of shutout ball. He was the MVP of the ALCS in, when was that, 2015? And there's only been one other reliever who's been, I think, an MVP of a championship series, and he, like, the only other reliever to not be, I think, one of the team's like primary starting pitchers, or the only other pitcher who wasn't one of the team's primary started pitchers. So he really changed the way that teams value relief pitchers and long relievers especially. And he was pretty influential in changing the game. We see guys who will come out of the bullpen and throw 4 innings in a tie game or a winning game now, because maybe not so much a tie game, but like, a winning game, because he was the first one to do that. And then they handed over to the closer in the 9th inning. He really did sort of usher in a new era of long relievers, setup guys who can go multiple innings. That contract that he signed with the Yankees, they saw the value in him, and they saw the value in how many innings he could pitch. And then Cleveland also saw that, and they needed somebody for a playoff run. So he was traded to Cleveland for Clint Frazier. He was involved. It was that trade.
Yeah.
Sure, Yankees fans don't really like to. Justice Sheffield, I think Justice Sheffield was actually the bigger name in the trade at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Ben Hillard, Clint Frazier, JP Fireisen, Justice Sheffield.
Wow.
So, yeah. It was, his tenure on the Yankees was very brief, but very influential. I mean, he's the reason that, like, the Yankees have a guy like Jordan Montgomery.
Yeah.
And he's also one of the reasons you've seen pitchers getting taller, longer. I'm not just talking about long relief now. He was 6'7".
Yeah.
And that's, there's always, scouts always fall in love with length. Randy Johnson, people will say it looked like the ball was coming out of his hand 2 feet in front of you. So
yeah.
It's especially difficult to read.
But also with Miller, you had him and Betances, and they were both 6'7", 6'8".
Yeah.
And it was, they had, what was it? No runs, DMC, Dellin, Miller, Chapman. Like that was the thing that they were trying to do that year. And we were talking before we started recording, and that one shot of Andrew Miller, you knew he was tall, but that one shot of him giving up the home run to Greg Bird, for some reason, his legs looked never ending in that Cleveland.
Greg Bird's a tall guy too. Greg Bird's like 6'4".
Yeah. A lot of big guys in baseball now. I say it all the time. I wish, Phil Rizzuto was still around, because he was teeny tiny. And if he saw the size of, he saw Randy Johnson, but now it seems the norm for guys to be 6'4", 6'5", 6'6". And it's like, where are these guys coming from?
Well, look at the Mets a few years ago when they had, the supposed 5 aces that I think only combined to actually make one turn through the rotation in like 5 years. But Noah Syndergaard's 6'4".
Yeah.
Matt Harvey was like 6'3".
Yeah.
Jacob deGrom, I think, is 6'2", 6'3". Steven Matz, above 6 feet.
Mm-hmm.
Zach Wheeler, 6'3", 6'4". Wheeler's a lanky guy.
Yeah.
Got that long, like, wispy arm action. That's what they like now, is when the ball looks like it's coming out of the pitcher's hand 2 feet in front of the hitter, because it's difficult to pick up, especially when they're throwing 100 miles an hour, like,
most of these guys. Yeah.
It's pitchers are they're big dudes these days. You don't see a lot of Sonny Grays anymore. I know it's a name the Yankee fans don't particularly care to remember, but he's one that I can remember who was a little bit shorter. But Davy Garcia, he's what, like 5'9"?
Yeah. Marcus Stroman's 5'9", but he's big. Like he's solid, but he's not that tall either. Yeah, it's when I talked to David Cohn last year on the show, I joked. I said, do they have a lab where they grow these guys? Like, where are they coming from? And I also asked him, I said, do you think it's possible that you'll see, because it used to be, whoa, when you saw someone pitching 95 with regularity, then 100 came along, and now guys are touching it more with regularity. And I asked him, I said, do you think it's possible that we're going to see guys hitting 105 at any point in the future? He's like, I think so. He's like, these guys keep getting bigger and stronger. It's possible that you might see someone touch 105 and do it a few times, like we used to see Chapman when he was hitting 102, 103, Just imagine these guys who are like 6'8", 6'7", throwing 105. That's a frightening. That is frightening for anyone stepping in the box. I couldn't even imagine that. That's crazy.
I'm not a physics professor, but I would like to know, like, the effect of like the torque on your arm if you're that big and
Right.
you're throwing that fast.
Yeah. Because
I'm
people,
also not good with math, so I may not be able to like understand the way that somebody breaks it down.
Yeah.
But in my mind, I would like, as of right now, I would like to know the effect of like that is doing. I don't know, scientifically. This probably makes no sense. This is why I'm a writer and I'm good with words, and I'm not good with numbers and science. In my mind, it makes sense, but like now that I'm hearing myself talk, it's not making any sense. Sorry.
Look, talking about that just briefly, you realize how sort of unnatural pitching is just with the way the arm moves, but you really see it in still shots. There was one shot, I think it was Jeff Karsten's pitching, and you could see what his elbow was doing at the time, and it looks gross when it's
exceptionally unnatural arm movement, and to be doing it that many times
and that hard.
Yeah.
I'm surprised more guys' elbows don't snap the way that, I mean, we are seeing an uptick in Tommy John's, even in younger kids.
Yeah.
Because of, I don't know, I think that
a lot of position players have been getting Tommy John a lot at like a very, that's not grammatically correct, at an increasing rate.
Yes. Yeah. It's, we could talk all day about the arm and that book, and I didn't realize the work that goes into Tommy John, but when I found it out and what goes into it, I'm like, how does anyone have more than one of those surgeries done on their arm? There's not enough room.
They drill a hole in the bone.
Yeah, there's not enough room for more than that twice. So if you need a third Tommy John, you're not pitching again. It's just not going to happen. No. So next week, we're going to try and record with Bryce, because Bryce from Locked On Rangers loves to come on and talk about Joey Gallo. And since I now love to talk about Joey Gallo, we're going to talk about Joey Gallo. But no, he's going to talk about it. Yeah, he's going to talk about Isaiah Kiner-Falefa as well. And, we'll talk about how the Rangers are doing. We'll talk about how the Yankees are doing. There will be an AL East roundtable. We get to talk about all that good stuff with Locked On Red Sox, we might not be with Locked On Blue Jays. They're in the midst of switching hosts. So it'll be Locked On Orioles, Locked On Rays, Locked On Yankees, Red Sox. So 4 out of 5 ain't bad, like the Trident dentists say. And we're less than 2 weeks away from opening day. Garrett Cole's going to start pitching, actually. I think they're going to have him start at 80 pitches is what I saw when I read the report the other day, and I think that's happening this weekend. Hopefully the games are on Yes, and maybe we can watch something, because I don't have the Yes app. If you have the Yes app, they're showing games on the Yes app, but I do not have it, so I haven't been able to watch the Yes app games. So
well, it's also great that we'll be able to, talk about actual baseball.
Yes. Actual baseball that counts. Hooray!
Yeah.
Yay! So that's it for this episode of Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Abby and I would like to remind you that you can listen to this show in Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Odyssey, Spotify, Stitcher, or anywhere else you get your podcasts. You can watch and subscribe to us on YouTube. Again, we're inching closer and closer to 1K, and we will do a giveaway. And when you get into your car, you can tell your smart device to play podcast Locked On MLB. Now make your second listen of the day Locked On MLB. Paul Francis Sullivan, please call him Sully, brings you his unique perspective on the major leagues, both past and present. It is free and available wherever you get podcasts. One more thing, if you could be so kind, please rate the podcast and spread the word about this podcast to your fellow Yankee fans. We would really appreciate it. So enjoy the weekend, and we will talk to you on Monday.